You're so inefficient, that's why it takes you forever to do the housework. I pretended not to hear and ignored him. Unperturbed, Sam continued. High school dropouts are really dumb, aren't they? You're an eyesore, so please just go away. I was irked, but chose to continue ignoring him. Seemingly bored by my lack of reaction, Sam deliberately came over to me and kept up his verbal abuse. You've been hearing me, right? I don't want to be around someone useless, so just disappear now. What are you on about now? Stop it with the insults, we're not kids. Seeing he finally got a reaction, Sam smirked and said, Shut up. Don't act like a mom when you're nothing but lowlife scum. At that, I realized I didn't need to tolerate it anymore. Right, your real mom is that woman, after all. Huh? My name is Misery. I'm a stay-at-home mom. I married my husband Harry 7 years ago, and our marriage is strong. However, there's one problem. Harry's son from his previous marriage, Sam. Harry had divorced once, and he got custody of Sam. I first met Sam when he was 11 years old, in 5th grade. Initially shy, Sam soon warmed up to me. Seeing this, Harry began to seriously consider marrying me. We did things like shopping together and family trips, building a good relationship even without blood ties. Now, Sam is 18. And in his senior year of high school, a challenging age. I was struggling with how to interact with him. Back in middle school, Sam was smart and good-looking, which made him quite popular. He didn't report everything to me, but I often saw letters from girls casually left on his desk. On his birthday, he'd bring home more gifts than he could carry in both hands. On his middle school graduation day, after the ceremony, Sam invited some close friends home and they seemed to have a great time chatting. I decided to bring them snacks and drinks on a tray and was about to knock on Sam's door. That's when I overheard a conversation that froze me in my tracks. That was really mean, dude. How could you say something like that to her? What are you talking about? When Kelly confessed to you, remember? Oh, you mean that nerdy girl with glasses? I was shocked to hear Sam speak so disparagingly about a girl's appearance. It was the first time I'd heard such foul language. How could she have the nerve to confess to me with that face? She should know her place. That's awful. That's why I told her to look in the mirror and see if she's even worthy of confessing to someone, to save herself further embarrassment. You really are popular, huh? How many confessions today alone? I remember up to maybe 6, but then I stopped counting. Wow, I'm jealous. Hearing Sam and his friends laugh uproariously, I felt a sense of dread. In front of me and Harry, Sam had always been a model student. He never once belittled anyone. But I realized it was all an act. As a middle school boy, he pretended to be a top student in front of his parents while harboring such disdainful attitudes towards women. Determined, I knocked on Sam's door. I've brought some snacks. Can I come in? The door opened, revealing a smiling Sam. Thanks, Mom, he said, taking the tray kindly. I struggled to maintain a natural smile. Sam had been admitted to a prestigious local high school, aspiring to be a doctor. He had decided early on to aim for a high school with a high medical school admission rate, and easily passed the entrance exam. On his graduation day, I saw his true colors. Though I tried to stay calm, Sam seemed to sense my unease. He had been playing the role of an excellent student, but he decided to drop the act around me. Even in my presence, he began making disparaging remarks about women. One evening, Sam and I were in the living room. He was sitting on the couch with his smartphone, while the evening news played on TV. I was preparing dinner, listening to the news in the background. Harry wouldn't be home for a few more hours. Then, a news story caught our attention. A woman had been arrested for marriage fraud. Upon hearing the news, Sam spoke to me. Mom, check out this news. What's up? I wiped my hands on my apron and walked over to the TV, staring intently at the screen. Sam sneered. Marriage fraud, can you believe it? It's pathetic, chasing after a man's money. It's a disgrace, really. While I found Sam's comments distasteful, I couldn't help but stare at the face of the woman accused of marriage fraud on TV. Then, her real name was broadcasted. Having her name dragged through the mud like this, her future's pretty bleak. But that's the price of foolish actions. No matter the reason, taking someone else's money isn't right. Well, then you're on the same level as her, aren't you? What? His unexpected words caught me off guard. And I turned to Sam, who was smirking at me. You knew Dad was a big shot at a major company when you decided to remarry, right? Just like that woman, blinded by money. I was shocked. I had treated Sam like my own child despite the lack of blood relation. And I thought he had grown fond of me too. Even during middle school, I believed we had a good parent-child relationship. Yet, he thought I married Harry for his money. That's not true. I love your dad and wanted to be with him, and I've always thought of you as my own child. Easy to say, isn't it? It's true. Your dad wouldn't remarry someone just after his money. He wanted a woman who could get along with you. You played it smart, using me as a pawn to land a rich husband. A manipulative woman, aren't you? Why would you think that way? Because women deceive men for their money, a dirty existence. You're just a freeloader living off Dad's money without working. That's not true. I have reasons for being a stay-at-home mom. Before I could finish, Sam interrupted me, his tone harsher. You're no different from that marriage fraudster, just as worthless. With a snort, he headed back to his room, content with his accusation. This was the first time he had directed such malice at me. I was insulted as a freeloader and thought to have married Harry for his money. I never expected to be subjected to such words from someone I had raised, thinking of him as my own son. I stood there, dumbfounded, watching the door Sam had left through. The news had already moved on to another topic, but I hardly heard it. That evening, I was torn about telling Harry about Sam's harsh words. This wasn't just teenage rebellion. It was a deeper issue with his character. But I feared that if I didn't explain it well, I might be misunderstood again. I could easily imagine him saying, "Women have it easy," thinking they can just cry and get help, or dumb people think crying will solve everything. In the end, I couldn't bring myself to tell Harry anything that day. Clever Sam seemed to understand this too. At the dinner table with the three of us, everything appeared normal as it had been until yesterday. Except for the occasional mocking glances Sam threw my way. Tonight's meal was tasteless to me. Since then, Sam started to make derogatory comments whenever it was just the two of us. However, he never showed this behavior in front of Harry. It was clear he was targeting only me. He knew I wouldn't talk back or tell Harry. Sam seemed to hold a typical male chauvinistic attitude. Someone with such views could be influential if close enough. But Harry never looked down on me for being a homemaker. On the contrary, he always said, "There's no break in housework. Thanks for keeping our home every day." He is far from being a male chauvinist. I couldn't fathom why Sam would hold such outdated views. On a certain holiday, it was just Sam and me at home, as Harry was out. Ever since the day Sam hurled insults at me, I had been avoiding being alone with him. I planned to finish my chores quickly and go to our bedroom. As I was thinking this, Sam, lounging on the sofa, started speaking loudly on purpose. You're so inefficient, that's why it takes you forever to do the housework. I pretended not to hear and ignored him. Unperturbed, Sam continued. High school dropouts are really dumb, aren't they? You're an eyesore, so please just go away. I was irked, but chose to continue ignoring him. Seemingly bored by my lack of reaction, Sam deliberately came over to me and kept up his verbal abuse. You've been hearing me, right? I don't want to be around someone useless, so just disappear already. Sighing, I looked at Sam. What are you on about now? Stop it with the insults, we're not kids. Seeing he finally got a reaction, Sam smirked and said, Shut up. Don't act like a mom when you're nothing but lowlife scum. At that, I realized I didn't need to tolerate it anymore. Right, your real mom is that woman, after all. Huh? No, never mind. Confused by my words, Sam looked bewildered. He might have wanted to ask why, but I simply said, You don't want to see my face anymore, right? And decided to leave the living room. Sam's verbal abuse continued as usual. Perhaps he was irritated by my defiance that day. His words became increasingly harsh. However, I kept ignoring him with a nonchalant face. I thought there was no need to pay more attention to someone who could speak so terribly to their stepmother. And then there was that phrase. Don't act like a mom when you're nothing but lowlife scum. It hurt me deeply. After being spoken to like that, I lost any desire to act motherly towards him. He's already 18, an adult. If he feels that way, I need not bother anymore. I decided to only provide the bare minimum of care. I never intended to be overprotective, and I'll continue playing the part of a happy family in front of Harry. This incident made me realize I can hold a grudge. Sam seemed displeased with my attitude when we were alone. Maybe he thought my earlier silence was due to weakness. Or that I was trying to appease him, fearing Harry would leave me if I treated his son poorly. But my slightly assertive attitude might have made him feel looked down upon. Of course, I wasn't doing that. But I doubted he understood. In fact, I neither pushed him away nor did I make any effort to make amends. My attitude might have irritated him even more. Hey, Sam started talking to me. I glanced at him sideways, wondering if I should ignore him. His usual mocking demeanor or the model student act he put on for Harry was absent. He looked serious. What did you mean the other day? About what? I genuinely didn't understand and asked him back. Perhaps thinking I was evading the question, Sam looked a bit annoyed and asked again. You said, your real mom is that woman, after all. What did you mean by that? Then I realized what he was referring to. I was surprised he remembered something I muttered in passing. I hesitated for a moment, wondering if I should tell him the truth. The story about Sam's biological mother wasn't exactly pleasant. Looking at Sam, I saw he was waiting earnestly for my response. Sam is already an adult. I thought it might be okay to tell him the truth. So, I decided to share the facts. Do you remember the news we watched together the other day? About the woman arrested for marriage fraud? Yeah. I remember. Her real name was broadcasted, and they even showed her face when she was arrested. What does that have to do with my mom? That woman is your biological mother. What? Sam's eyes widened as he stared at me in disbelief. His expression shifted from shock to confusion and suspicion. It was clearly reflecting his reluctance to believe, his denial. What are you saying? Are you taking revenge because I've been awful to you? You really are a wicked woman. There was a sense of panic in Sam's words. I wish it were a lie, but it's the truth. His expression turned to utter despair. He looked so weak, as if he might collapse with a mere breath. When I saw that news, I recognized the woman's face. I was wondering who she was when her name was reported, and I thought she might be your real mom. Harry also saw the news online and confirmed it, so there's no mistake. No. But how do you know what my real mom looks like? Have you ever met her? I had decided to answer all his questions honestly from the moment I started this topic. Lying wouldn't work, Sam is too smart not to notice. I haven't met her directly, but Harry showed me a photo of her. He told me to remember her face and to run away immediately if she ever appeared before us. Run away? What does that mean? I conveyed to Sam the story I had heard from Harry. No matter how painful it might be for him. The reason for their divorce was your biological mom's bad behavior with men. She used to splurge on luxury with money from various men, even when she was living with Harry. Harry tried to stop her, but she wouldn't change. He chose to divorce her for your sake, thinking it wasn't good for your upbringing. Sam was so shocked he couldn't speak. He eventually knelt down, utterly dejected. She seemed like the type to do unthinkable things for money, so there was a fear she might kidnap you for ransom. That's why I was told to remember her face and run away with you if anything happened. That's my brilliant self, born from such a low life. Sam muttered to himself in disbelief. Watching him, the seeds of revenge in my heart flared into flames. The woman you've been belittling is your biological mother. How does it feel to know you were born from someone like that? Sam looked up at me sharply. His face a mix of surprise, sadness, and various negative emotions. I was surprised by the harshness of my own words. But my expression remained unchanged, my eyes cold as I looked down at the kneeling Sam. That day, Sam locked himself in his room and didn't come out. Harry was worried and spoke to him from outside the door, but there was no response. I was asked about the situation and simply said that Sam was shocked after learning about his biological mother. Harry seemed to understand and just said, I see. I might not have given many details, but I wasn't lying. Serve him right. Dark emotions were spreading inside me. Since then, Sam has become much quieter. Even when we were alone, he no longer hurled insults at me. Instead, He started avoiding being alone with me, spending more time in his room. The tables had turned compared to before. Part of me felt I might have gone too far, but considering what I had endured, it seemed justified. My feelings were complex. One day, we were having dinner as a family. Sam would only smile and respond when Harry spoke to him, otherwise silently eating his meal. He probably hasn't noticed such a change in behavior. Harry started talking to me. By the way, I met the manager of the company where you used to work today. Wow, it's been a long time. Was he doing well? Yes, he looked well. I told him you're doing fine. As we were chatting happily, Sam looked puzzled and joined the conversation. What are you guys talking about? Mom, you used to work? Didn't I tell you? Your mom and I met through work originally. Really? Yeah. She used to work at a company that did business with mine. She made quite the impression on me. Stop it, you're embarrassing me. I playfully scolded Harry as he started to recount our love story, and we laughed together. Sam seemed confused. And a bit flustered. Dad's business partners are all major companies, right? There's no way a high school dropout like Mom could have worked at such a company. Harry looked surprised. What are you talking about? Your mom isn't a high school dropout. What? Sam's face showed shock as he looked back and forth between Harry and me. Your mom graduated from college. Sure, she attended high school and college abroad, but still. Abroad. Due to my parents' work, I decided to go to school abroad for high school and college. I could have stayed in the US given my age, but it was a valuable experience. I thought being fluent in Spanish would be advantageous for work. I still believe it was a good decision. When my parents' overseas transfer was decided, they debated whether to take me with them. The options were for my dad to go alone or for my mom and me to stay in the US. However, I expressed my desire to live abroad with the whole family. Living abroad for an extended period is an experience that requires a lot of initiative. It was daunting to leave the familiar surroundings, but looking back, it was a rare and valuable experience. It must have been good being together as a family, different from studying abroad alone, right? Yes, exactly. It was reassuring not to feel lonely, and I'm glad we were together. If I had studied abroad alone, I probably would have been homesick. Maybe it was because we went as a family that I managed to stay without running away. Wait, so Mom, you can speak Spanish? Well, I haven't used it for a while, so I might struggle with specialized topics, but I think I can handle everyday conversations. By the time I was in university, the courses become more specialized and, naturally, the terminology is mostly in Spanish. I doubt I remember all of it, but I retained enough language skills to watch movies without subtitles. Actually, she also acted as an interpreter at work. I can speak a little too, but never as fluently as Misery, which I always envied. How about we make a rule to only speak Spanish at home? That might end up cutting our conversations short. Contrasting our lively discussion, Sam was muttering something to himself. I always thought Mom was a high school dropout. Why would you think that? Anyway, being a dropout isn't necessarily bad. It's not just about education when it comes to contributing to society. Harry seemed a bit exasperated as he admonished Sam. But, if you had such an impressive background, why didn't you continue working? That's because. As I was pondering how to explain, Harry started speaking, cutting me off. Let me explain, Sam. You know about your real mom, right? Yeah, Sam nodded. His gaze dropping to the table. To be honest, what she did was quite a shock. There was a time when I couldn't trust women anymore. Harry spoke slowly, choosing his words carefully. Back when we first met, he had just divorced and looked physically and emotionally exhausted. He even mentioned struggling to soothe his son, who would cry at night without his mother. But, meeting Misery. She tried to understand my pain and helped me through it. Seeing how happy Sam was playing with her, I realized he needed a mother. That's why I decided to remarry. Sam remained silent, looking down. Harry continued. And it was me who asked her to become a full-time homemaker. What? Sam looked up at Harry in surprise. Harry's expression was slightly somber but still kind. I was hesitant to take away the career Misery had built due to my selfish reasons. But I was anxious, fearing she might leave like my ex-wife, who often went out and had a bad track record with men. I wanted a home where Misery and Sam would greet me with welcome back. Misery agreed to my selfish request. So, I see. Sam seemed confused either by learning Harry's true feelings, or by the shock that I, whom he thought was just a high school dropout, actually graduated from college and had worked for a major corporation. I couldn't tell what he was thinking from his expression. Honestly, marrying me, a man with a young child, must have been a big decision for Misery. Harry continued. I wasn't sure if his words were reaching Sam. Besides, asking her to quit her job after getting married. I'm truly grateful that Misery followed me through all of that. I hope you understand that. Harry said, patting Sam's head, which was still down. Usually, Sam would shy away from such gestures, but today he didn't resist. He remained with his head down, and his face wasn't visible to us. A few weeks after talking about my past, Harry came home with a stern look. Sam was in his room, and I was the only one in the living room. Welcome back. What's wrong? Did something happen? Why do you ask? Your forehead's all wrinkled. I pointed at my own forehead and exaggeratedly furrowed my brows to mimic him. Harry managed a slight smile at this, but his eyebrows remained knit together. If there's something you can talk about, tell me. I'm here to listen. Thank you. He said, then fell silent for a while. I decided not to pry and started reheating dinner. When I served the warm meal, Harry gestured for me to sit down. I obediently followed his suggestion. Can I talk to you? He then started speaking hesitantly. The next day, after dinner with the three of us, Sam was about to return to his room. Sam, sit down. I have something to talk to you about. Harry said in a weighty tone. The atmosphere tensed up with Harry's unusual demeanor. Sam, sensing something was off, silently took his seat. Do you know a woman named Kelly? Sam seemed taken aback by the sudden question, but after thinking for a while, he answered, No, I don't. Harry sighed. I see, you don't remember her. Don't remember? Have I met this Kelly person? It seems the one who hurts others easily forgets their victim. Harry's voice began to shake. Sam tried to make eye contact with Harry, but Harry covered his face with one hand, avoiding Sam's gaze. I've been thinking, but I really don't remember. Who is this Kelly person? Hearing Sam's words, Harry lifted his face. His eyes were filled with sadness. Do you remember her now, the girl who confessed to you on the day of your middle school graduation? Sam's face turned pale. You seem surprised I know about it. Sam's gaze dropped to his clenched fists on the table. His hands looked shiver. My boss's daughter was Kelly. She confessed to you on graduation day but was hurt badly by your harsh words, so much so that she couldn't leave her room for a while. As I heard the story from my boss, I wondered if she might have been at the same school as you. When I finally heard the name of the person she confessed to, my heart nearly stopped when it turned out to be you. That's... No excuses. Harry sharply rebuked Sam, who was clearly trying to save himself. I was debating whether to tell you about this, but first, I talked to your mother. It turns out you invited friends over on graduation day and made fun of Kelly. Sam, who was sweating nervously, glared at me upon hearing this. You ratted me out to Dad. How dare you, you wicked woman? He yelled at me. The moment he said it, his face turned to fear, looking at Harry. Harry's face was expressionless. It's not like that, Dad. What's not like that? To hurl such abuse at your mother. I'm thoroughly disappointed in you. Harry sighed deeply and turned his face away from Sam. It was a clear sign of rejection. Wait, hear me out. No matter what you say, I can't understand why you'd speak so abusively to women. And shouldn't you be apologizing to your mother, not making excuses to me? At those words, Sam stood up, came before me, and kneeled down. I'm sorry, Mom. I won't say such horrible things again, please forgive me, he said, not lifting his head. He was probably waiting for a response from either me or Harry. I slowly spoke up. Sorry, but an apology made because someone told you to is hardly trustworthy. Sam's position didn't change. But his fingers tensed and trembled. He was probably angry that I wasn't forgiving him after all he had done. You've said terrible things to me when your father wasn't around. I can't trust someone like you. You need to realize that you deserve all this criticism for what you've done. And feel ashamed of yourself for needlessly belittling others, Harry said and then left the living room. I hesitated for a moment, unsure whether to follow Harry or stay. But then I decided to go after him. Sam's pride must be in tatters, having been so harshly criticized by his father and pitted by me, whom he had looked down upon. Leaving him alone might be a kinder choice. As I opened the living room door and glanced back at Sam, he was still sitting formally, staring blankly at the ceiling. Things were rough for Sam after that. Harry told him to leave the house after graduating high school. He said, "Stand on your own as a man," but I don't know what Sam, who reacted so angrily, might do. Harry's decision, I realized, was also to protect me from further harm by Sam. Sam attempted to enter medical school, but his performance suffered from the shock of being disowned by his father. He didn't even pass his backup college choices. After high school, Sam left the house and became a Ronin, but he didn't attend prep school and instead stayed shut in his room. Discussing this with Harry, I wondered if we had been too harsh. And he said, "Sam never knew failure because he could always handle everything so well," Harry said. The first time someone faces failure, they might be paralyzed by the shock. But a person who has experienced failure can grow to be more compassionate. I want Sam to become that kind of person. Sometimes being strict is part of being a parent, Harry noted with a smile. As for me, I was enjoying a peaceful life with just Harry. With Sam gone, I had more time alone, which sometimes felt boring. Then Harry suggested I consider working outside, knowing how much I liked my job. I was delighted by the idea. Yet, I still wanted to be home to welcome Harry when he returned. Maybe part-time work would be a good option. So, I looked forward to this new chapter in my life with excitement.